Good morning, or I guess it's afternoon. Hello. Um, Hi, Sheila. I was thinking this morning, or thinking, I don't know if I was thinking, I was contemplating the question of, about of God, actually. I was thinking how often we objectify or think of God as something separate, and it's like the basic thing that that we kind of the beginning premise that we miss on, and this idea that God is separate, and of course, how else would we feel if how else, I mean, our whole teaching has been that, and whether it was in the church, excuse me, you guys, whether, often, I mean, for me, I was brought up in in a Christian church and a Christian idea of a separate God. Although when I remember, there was some talk of this idea of God, of a Jesus God being in me, and even as a child, I was like, I don't know about that. I'm not sure, because I saw myself as separate from everything, and so it wasn't. So I've had actually over the last few months, a few of my friends say, wow, isn't that risky for you to be speaking, publicly about God? and w- you know, for 40 some years, I've been asking the question, praying, saying, show me the bigger picture, show me what am I missing, and it, I've looked back now and I think, my gosh, I must have been so thick, so embodied in my, my idea of a separateness, of a God that was separate, and so the path that has led me to this place, and of this moment, and this experience of the moment, and recognizing that there is nothing outside of the moment. Ego is convinced that there is and wants to tell us that there is, and even I kind of thought that when I would realize that, when I would truly realize that mind would stop carrying on, with that idea, and maybe in time, even still, it's possible that would happen. I'm open to that possibility, and when I'm here, there is no I in a sense, because even the picture of this, me, is in this moment not all of the things that I think of who I is and who me is. And so the premise that I'm separate, I am a body, or that I am a ball of beliefs and conditioned ideas and values and all of those things is in a way true, but in another way, if I speak from there, I'm speaking from this idea of me, this concept of me, which is the same as this concept of me having a concept of God, which is separate from this concept of me. And so in the moment, if we practice being here now, nothing missing, all of that can drop away. So just play with that and watch the mind. Very important to watch the mind, and then watch who's watching the mind, and drop back further and further into this moment. Watch the mind as it has, all its plans and ideas and all its thoughts of what's missing and who's not treating us right and what will we do at Christmas and all of the stuff that goes on in the constant, and then we get together with our friends and we talk about all these things that is just, kind of all bullshit, right? and we complain. We complain about, well, she does that or he does that. And so we're caught in this story, this illusion, and to watch it. My experience is that the way out is through awareness, through consciousness, through seeing, oh my gosh, look, I've made up a story about myself, poor me. I've made up a story about my family. I've made up a story about everybody. I make up a story about what that plane that just flew over is going. I mean, the mind is always doing that shit. So if we settle down, and meditation is very helpful for that process, to settle down, just, yeah. And I have a friend who's doing a thing called the Enlightenment Intensive, which is like 3 or 4 days of asking the question, tell me who you are, tell me who you are. Great process for exposing the illusion, the lie, that we've gotten caught in. And it's not a vicious lie. I mean, it's not a malicious lie. It's just, what we were born into. Somehow as little children, we got separate. We realized that many of us, through trauma, realized that we had to really look after ourselves, and in a way. And then if we're really fortunate, we find our way back to this oneness, to this not needing anything. Not needing anything. Everything flows. And we return to our natural state, which is love. Love is our natural state. In this moment, there is love. Hi, Chris. I have been thinking of you, Chris. Call me. You've come to mind, yes. And I've made up a story about where you are or not. Okay. Anyway, I've got to do this reading. This is really what needs to happen, and I don't know if it needs to happen or not, but this is what I do. I come and sit down, and again today I had no idea. Sometimes mind says, oh, you can't even do this. Don't do this. You don't even know what you're going to talk about. And ego, how long are you going to do this for? I'll just jabber, Anyway. Be the love. I know it seems silly, but if we watch our thoughts, we become aware, we become conscious, we can surrender and let go of our beliefs, of our fears, of our anger. We can let go of separateness. Okay, August 29th. This is from this little book called what's it called? 24-Hour Day Book. And it was written in 1954 by a gentleman whose name I can never remember, but obviously a beautiful, Awaken band. He has some beautiful pieces in here. And I suspect that he's like all of us, has moments, so some of it I read and I go, oh, Jesus, that's pretty separate, and pretty judgmental or pretty biased. But then there's pieces of it that's like, oh, wow, he's done so well. And he quotes often from the Big Book, which if you haven't read the book Alcoholics Anonymous, read it. It's like, it's such a jewel. It's such a jewel. And so such a pathway to this awakening, to this not needing anything, to this realization of who we are and who we've been, and how our selfish, self-centered, fearful thoughts had led us to the bottom of, to whatever bottom we hit, because that's where that takes us. Anyway, the book, the big book, get a copy. Read it. Come read it with me. Anyway, August 29th, it says, we cannot get along without prayer and meditation. Yeah, I would agree with that. Seems like being here now is this constant prayer and meditation. On awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. Oh my gosh, it's on awakening. We consider our plans for the day. This is right out of the book. Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking. Our thought lives will be placed on a much higher plane when we start the day with prayer and meditation. We conclude this period of meditation with a prayer that we will be shown through the day what our next step is to be, the next right thing. It's beautiful. The next step is to be. The basis of all our prayers is, Thy will be done in me and through me today. The basis of all our prayers is, Thy will be done in me and through me today. Beautiful, eh? His question, he has a thought for the day and a question at the bottom of it. Am I sincere in my desire to do God's will today? Boom, 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 boom. Awesome. That's yes. Meditation for the day. It says, breathe in the inspiration of goodness and truth. It is the spirit of honesty, purity, unselfishness, and love. It is readily available if we're willing to accept it wholeheartedly. God, it says, has given us two things, His Spirit and the power of choice, to accept it or not, as we will. We have the gift of free will. When we choose the path of selfishness and greed and pride, we're refusing to accept God's Spirit of love. When we choose the path of love and service, we accept God's Spirit, and it flows into us and makes all things new. So our natural state, which is in this moment, which is God, is service and love. So when we strive to live in service and love, we are living in this moment, and we forget about ourselves in a sense of separateness. So it's beautifully done. It's magic. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may choose the right way. I pray that I may try to follow it to the end. And of course, there is no following and no end, but still, there's only now. And it's hard to talk about all this stuff because, words don't really convey. Because we're so, kind of addicted to time, and addicted to cause and effect. So, but practice, just focus on this being here now. And ask, in your prayers, even if you don't have a concept or an idea of God, or if your concept and idea is that there is no God, still ask the universe, whatever it is, this intelligence, there must be an intelligence. Ask that. What would you have me to be today? Guide me and strengthen me. Show me what you'd have me to be today. Thy will be done. And that on a daily basis lifts us up. It lifts us way up. Or in. Okay, love you guys. Thanks so much. Just getting to do this lifts me up. It's beautiful. I'm so grateful. And I've had some, I put this on YouTube after, and I've had some really wonderful notes people have written that they enjoy this. And we're coming up on, we started this the 1st of May, so May, June, July, August. I have to count on my fingers. That's, just only 4 months that we've been doing this. So thanks for being part of it when you are. Okay, love you. Sheila, if you're still there, love you, love you, love you. Sheila, His and I are parents to a beautiful son, and just did a video the other day on, you know, being friends after divorce, and which was beautiful. I mean, we are, and we've always had love in our hearts for each other, even if we weren't in the same city, and our family dynamic changed. It's always been there for us, and that's beautiful. So thank you for making that possible, Sheila. Yeah. Okay, love you guys. So talk soon. Chris, call me.